The movie kicks off with a girl named Mitsuha, who wakes up like, what even was that dream? Can't remember it. She joins her grandma and little sister for breakfast. We learn that Mitsuha's mom passed away, and her dad, who used to be all about the shrine life, he's stout to become a politician. Now he's out there trying to be the city's mayor, leaving the family behind. While munching on breakfast, they're watching the news on TV, which is all about a comet called Doomkatu that's going to zoom past their village. The broadcast warns that this comet only swings by once every 1,200 years and could cause some serious chaos if it drops in. Later at school, Mitsuha finds a weird message in her notebook that says, "Who are you?" When the teacher calls on her, she stands up, and the teacher jokes, "Well, at least you know your own name." Her friends tell her that she was acting super weird the day before, like she totally forgot her name and even came to school with her hair down, which is not her usual vibe. Mitsuha's like, "What? I don't remember any of that. It's like a dream." That night, Mitsuha and her sister do a traditional dance with their grandma. As part of their ritual, they chew on rice and spit it into a container to ferment and make sake, which is like fancy rice juice for grown-ups. Mitsuha feels majorly embarrassed when her friends see her doing this and start giggling. She's so over her boring village life and cries out, wishing she could be reborn as a hot boy in Tokyo. The next morning, bam! Mitsuha wakes up and realizes she's in a totally different place. She's now in the body of a teenage boy in Tokyo. First, she's like, is this some kind of dream? But then she goes to school and everyone's acting like they know her. She's confused, but also kind of loving it. Her new friends take her to a cafe, and Mitsuha is low-key vibing with the city life. It's way more exciting than her usual village routine. So while Mitsuha's chatting with her friends, she gets a text saying she's late for work. Totally confused, she asks her friends where she works, and they're like, "Wait, you don't know? You work at a restaurant." At the restaurant, Mitsuha's struggling hard, like she's never even seen a plate before. She's all over the place, but can't help feeling excited about all the new stuff. Before hitting the hay that night, Mitsuha writes her name, Mitsuha, on her hand, hoping it'll help her remember who she is when she wakes up. The next morning, she's back in her own body in her village. Meanwhile, the boy she was in, Taki, wakes up super confused, like he just binge-watched a crazy dream. Turns out Mitsuha and Taki have been swapping bodies. Taki, now in Mitsuha's body, is dealing with village life, while Mitsuha is living it up in Tokyo. Their friends and family are noticing they're acting super weird, like they've been possessed by aliens. Realizing they're switching bodies, Mitsuha and Taki start leaving each other notes about their daily lives, what they've eaten, and other crucial deets. As the comet's big debut approaches, Mitsuha leaves a note for Taki, saying she set him up on a date with one of his coworkers. Taki's stoked and goes on the date, but the girl's like, "You seem off, like you're thinking about someone else." Taki's all, uh-oh, and starts feeling some feels for Mitsuha. Back at home, Taki reads Mitsuha's note that says the comet Doomkatu will be showing up in the sky that day. He looks up but sees nada. He tries calling Mitsuha, but her phone's straight up ghosting him. Meanwhile, Mitsuha is totally fangirling as she watches the comet split into two right above her village. Time zooms by and Taki isn't swapping bodies with Mitsuha anymore. He's seriously missing her and wants to find her again, but he's got zero clues about where her village is. So, he starts drawing a map from memory, sketching out places like the school and the temple. Taki and his friends hit the road to find this elusive village, but it's like searching for a needle in a haystack. They finally crash at a restaurant to take a breather. At the restaurant, a chef spots Taki's doodles and is like, "Hold up, I know this place." Turns out, he was born in the village Taki's looking for. The village is called Itomori. Taki's pumped, but then the chef drops a bombshell. Back in 2013, a comet chunk named Doomkatu smashed into Itomori, leveling the whole place and killing everyone. Taki's heart sinks as he rushes to where the village used to be, but all he finds is a big crater that's now a lake. Feeling totally crushed, Taki digs into more research and finds a book listing the names of the people who died in the disaster, including Mitsuha. To make things worse, the messages Mitsuha sent him are now missing from his phone. He starts to wonder if any of it was real. As Taki's world crumbles, one of his friends notices the ribbon tied around his wrist and asks about it. Taki explains that he got the ribbon from a girl on a train 3 years ago. He didn't know her, but she gave him the ribbon as a keepsake, and he's kept it ever since, thinking of it as his lucky charm. Determined to figure out what's going on, Taki visits the temple he remembers from when he was in Mitsuha's body. He remembers the whole deal with chewing rice and making sake with Mitsuha's sister and grandma, trying to piece together the mystery. Standing in front of the temple, Taki has a major light bulb moment. All the wild stuff that happened wasn't just some crazy dream. He realizes that his connection with Mitsuha wasn't just a glitch in the Matrix, something truly epic, crossing through time and space. So, here's the scoop. Taki's chilling in 2016, while Mitsuha's vibing in 2013. Their body-swapping shenanigans are happening across different timelines. The reason Taki couldn't call Mitsuha is because, sadly, she's already gone in her time. Heartbroken, Taki goes on a mission to find the sake bottle Mitsuha made during their rice-spitting ritual. Finds it and, before drinking, begs for a shot at saving Mitsuha and her village. As Taki drinks the sake, it's like he's hit with a time-traveling memory overload. He remembers Mitsuha's life, how she set him up on that awkward date, and how she came to Tokyo to meet him. But back in 2013, Taki didn't recognize her because, well, they hadn't met yet. He recalls the handmade ribbon she gave him. She still rocks as a lucky charm. Mitsuha returned to her village, and on that tragic day, the comet Doomkatu split and wrecked the place, taking everyone, including Mitsuha, with it. Suddenly, Taki finds himself in Mitsuha's body again, getting a second shot to save her. He bolts to Mitsuha's house and warns her grandma about the comet. The grandma's like, "Whoa, you're not Mitsuha," and talks about how weird dreams and feelings have run in their family, even to Mitsuha's mom. Realizing the grandma's a bit confused, Taki figures out if he's in Mitsuha's body, then Mitsuha must be in his. And sure enough, Mitsuha's in Taki's body. Exploring Tokyo in 2016, she's blown away by the future city and discovers the crater lake from the comet strike. She realizes her village is history, and she's living 3 years ahead of her time. As dusk rolls in, Mitsuha hears Taki's voice calling out to her. Even though they're stuck in different years, they can kind of feel each other's presence. Can't actually see each other, because of the time gap. The sunset casts a magical vibe, and both Taki and Mitsuha start to panic as they realize they're running out of time. Fix the future disaster. In Japanese folklore, dusk is like the ultimate mystical hour when the lines between worlds get all fuzzy, letting people see stuff that's usually invisible. As the sun dips below the horizon, Taki and Mitsuha finally get to meet face to face for the first time. Taki hands back the hairband to Mitsuha, saying, "I might not have known you before, but I definitely do now." They share a super emotional moment, watching the comet Doomkatu split into two in the sky. It's like their last chance to make things right. Realizing that they might forget each other because of the timeline mess, Taki tells Mitsuha to write his name on her hand, and he starts scribbling on hers too. But just as Mitsuha writes on Taki's hand, she begins to fade away. In a frantic rush, Taki tries to write his name on Mitsuha's hand, totally blanks out. Instead, Mitsuha sees that Taki wrote, "I like you," which is super sweet and unexpected. Determined to save her village, Mitsuha rushes to her dad, practically begging him to evacuate everyone because she's sure the comet's gonna split and wreck the place. Taki told her so. At first, her dad's like, "Yeah, right," but then he sees the comet splitting in the sky and starts freaking out. They scramble to evacuate everyone to a nearby school, just in time before the comet hits and obliterates the village. Thanks to Mitsuha's warning, everyone's safe at the school. Meanwhile, back in Tokyo, Taki's got no memories of Mitsuha or the comet. He's back to his usual life, feels like there's this huge empty spot in his heart, like he's missing something big. Mitsuha, now in Tokyo with her family, feels the same weird longing, like she's searching for something she can't quite put her finger on. One day, while they're riding on different trains, they spot each other through the windows. It's like a major, "Whoa, I know you," moment. They both bolt off at their stations, desperately hunting through the crowd to find each other. After a tense moment where they almost miss each other, Taki calls out to Mitsuha, asking if they've met before. With tears welling up, Mitsuha replies, "I think so." Overcome with emotions, they ask each other, "What's your name?" The story wraps up on a super hopeful note, hinting that even with all the time and memory mess, Taki and Mitsuha's bond is strong enough to bring them back together.